Tonight, breaking news from Southern California. More red flag warnings as firefighters race to contain multiple major fires. Authorities announce additional arrests for looting as the ATF begins the task of finding the cause of the deadly fires. But first, the race against the clock. With winds expected to pick up within hours, gusts could reach 70 miles per hour. 8 million residents remain at the whim of the wind, facing a critical fire risk. More than 100,000 are under mandatory evacuation orders as the death toll rises. More than 12,000 structures believed to be either damaged or destroyed. An army of thousands on the ground and in the air joining the fight against the deadly Los Angeles fires. A California National Guard aircraft dropping fire retardant. Authorities warn about the threat from looters. 2 people were arrested near Vice President Kamala Harris's Brentwood home after a call about a possible burglary. Additional resources pour into the region. Crews from Mexico, Canada, and 9 other states are expected to deploy to the front lines. Officials say they're moving resources before the strong winds return, and they're urging residents hoping to return to their homes to be patient. The ATF takes the lead in the investigation, trying to determine the cause of the fires. Authorities now on the scene. The trained teams are looking at all potential causes, including arson or downed power lines. Our team is spread out across the Los Angeles region, and we time out the critical forecast for the next 24 hours and beyond. Across the country, a frigid Arctic blast returns with wind chills plummeting well below zero in some places. Days ahead of crucial confirmation hearings, the FBI investigates Defense Secretary nominee Pete Hegseth's past as we look at the other Trump picks preparing to go under the microscope. Countdown to a historic launch. Blue Origin's new Glenn rocket gets ready to blast off. Where and when, you might be able to catch a glimpse. And America strong tonight in the face of the horrific disaster. People helping people with random acts of kindness. It is, after all, the City of Angels.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on this Sunday. I'm Lindsay Davis. We begin once again with those deadly wildfires raging across Southern California. At least 16 people are dead and nearly 10 million more are under fire weather alerts. And moments ago, authorities issued a PDS, a particularly dangerous situation, for red flag warnings. More than a dozen people are reported missing, and authorities warn that number is rising by the hour. If firefighters have nightmares, this scenario is likely one of them. It is a bulletless war against the Palisades, Eaton, and Hearst fires, and now crews are bracing for another round of powerful Santa Ana winds that could threaten new communities. Look at this view from the cockpit of the California National Guard as they drop fire retardant as parts of their effort to contain the fires. A short time ago, President Biden met with key officials at the White House to explore ways to try to suppress the flames. And police say 2 people were arrested for violating curfew near the Brentwood home of Vice President Kamala Harris, as authorities now crack down on looting and price gouging. The damage from this deadly inferno could exceed $150 billion, one of the costliest natural disasters in American history. We, of course, have team coverage tonight. ABC's Matt Rivers leads us off from the fire zone.
Tonight, after an intense firefighting weekend, firefighters racing against the clock to contain wildfires burning across Los Angeles County before those Santa Ana winds pick up again. Across LA, firefighters are laying thousands and thousands and thousands of feet of hose line like this in anticipation of fires coming back when those winds come back. Firefighters like these going around putting out any hot spots to make sure that this hillside, which already burned, won't reignite when the winds return. More than 8 million people now facing critical fire risk.
Every available LAFD firefighter is on hand and will remain in place through this wind event.
Overnight, an all-out aerial assault on the Palisades fire. Helicopters making water drop after water drop. Ground crews armed with tools and reels of fire hoses, navigating steep terrain, headlamps lighting their path to face the flames head-on. Smoke and embers billowing into the air, and tonight the toll this fire and others have taken across Los Angeles County since Tuesday is staggering. At least 16 dead, at least 16 are also missing. More than 12,000 structures believed damaged or destroyed, more than 60 square miles burned, and more than 100,000 people under evacuation orders.
We will continue to battle these wildfires from the air and on the ground until they are fully contained.
This weekend, the Palisades fire making a new run to the north. This is the view from inside a low-flying California Air National Guard aircraft engaged in the fight. You can hear the altitude alert, then the sound of the retardant being dropped. We were with crews on the front lines in Brentwood yesterday. LA Fire Department Captain Scott Quasigro telling me,
helicopters have been hitting us pretty hard, so we're kind of just letting it creep up to us, and then we'll knock it out as soon as it gets to us.
We saw firsthand the impact of those gusting winds.
These gusts are what you got to worry about. I mean, even just in the last minute, we could see those houses 30 seconds ago, and now the gusts pick up, and that's the danger.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
Also in Brentwood, early yesterday morning, police responding to a call of a possible burglary at Vice President Kamala Harris's home. The neighborhood has been under an evacuation order since Wednesday. Authorities said they did not find evidence a burglary had occurred. However, they say they did arrest 2 people for violating the curfew. And the FBI releasing these images of the Super Scooper aircraft struck by a drone while battling the Palisades fire Thursday. That hole about 3 by 6 inches in size. They say this is the drone that caused it.
There's so many unauthorized drones in the area that they are impacting law enforcement and firefighters' efforts to suppress this fire and actually get it contained.
And east of the Palisades fire, at the Eaton fire, where firefighters are also battling hotspots, a big jump in the containment figure today. It now stands at 27%.
And Lindsay, right now we're inside the LA City Fire Air Operations, and that right there is one of the several dozen helicopters that we've been watching make water drop after water drop against these fires since it all broke out early last week. And we know right now crews are gearing up to go back out, both to fight existing fires and to fight any new fires that pop up over the next few days. Lindsay.
Progress, but still not enough. Matt, thank you. Next tonight, the frontline firefighters are getting reinforcements and support from around the globe. Dozens of firefighters from Mexico are in California tonight to help. And at the Vatican, Pope Francis offered prayers for those devastated by the flames. ABC's Jaclyn Lee reports again tonight from Southern California.
Tonight, with the grueling firefight expected to continue through the week, urgently needed assistance arriving from far and wide to combat the flames. First responders from California and 9 other states now on the front lines. Dozens of emergency personnel arriving on 2 planes from Mexico. California Governor Gavin Newsom greeting them on the tarmac.
This is what friends do. We're incredibly humbled and grateful that the president was willing to send the crew you see behind me. They'll be out on the lines within the next 24, 36 hours.
Fire crews from Canada also expected to arrive Monday, joining the more than 14,000 personnel already deployed. 70 additional water trucks also arriving ahead of that potentially dangerous wind event.
It's freeing up our other local resources. So as we continue to move forward and pre-deploy fire, air, ground, the more resources that are flooding in to help us with our current fires, the better we are prepared to pre-deploy.
We were there as firefighters from Kern County, who traveled more than 100 miles to assist, inspected the destruction in Altadena.
These firefighters physically walking house to house to make sure there's no chance a hotspot can grow into something larger.
Captain Tyson Kingsbury telling us he's never seen a fire this devastating.
The speed, the level, just how many homes that it's just destroyed.
Wow, okay. So is this the worst fire you've covered?
It's the worst fire I've ever been to, yeah.
And how long have you been doing this for?
30 years.
It comes as authorities announced today they would suspend escorts for residents into areas damaged by the fires, saying the number of requests overwhelmed their existing resources.
In driving around some of these areas, they literally look like war zones. There are down power poles, electric wires. There are still some smoldering fires. It is not safe. We want to get you back into your homes, but we can't allow that until it is safe for you to do so.
Lindsay, officials are warning residents to stay away given the dangers of downed power lines and gas leaks. Firefighters rushing to put out embers ahead of the incoming wind event to preserve homes like these that survived. Lindsay.
Certainly a welcome sight. Jaclyn, thank you. The ATF is leading the investigation into the cause of the deadly inferno. A task force, which includes local, state, and federal investigators, is trying to determine how the wildfire started, interviewing residents as they search for clues. Here's ABC's Alex Stone with the new details coming in tonight.
Tonight, authorities investigating the origins and causes of the devastating wildfires in Los Angeles. The Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or ATF, taking the lead of the newly formed Los Angeles Regional Wildfire Investigative Task Force.
This task force is made up of local, state, and federal partners designed to investigate the cause of these fires and to see if there's any connection between them.
It remains unclear how the Pacific Palisades fire started last week, but the agency says its certified fire investigators have been on the scene. Professionals whose training includes starting their own fires in a controlled environment.
If they can understand how they can set fires and how fires transition through a building, they can better understand how to investigate.
According to the U.S. Forest Service, nearly 85% of wildfires in the United States are caused by humans. Culprits include unattended campfires, burning debris, equipment malfunctions, discarded cigarettes, and intentional acts of arson. And data collected by the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection shows at least 8 of the most destructive wildfires in the state's history have been linked to electrical and power lines. ABC News learning tonight, Southern California Edison, one of California's major private utility companies, has filed 2 electronic safety incident reports pertaining to the Eaton and Hearst fires, a sign investigators might be examining if the utility's equipment contributed to an ignition. Lindsay, we just got word from the medical examiner here in Los Angeles County that now 24 people have been confirmed dead in these fires. Lindsay?
Alex, thank you. And those dangerous Santa Ana winds are set to return tomorrow. Let's bring in ABC meteorologist Samara Theodore. And Samara, track those winds for us. And also, can you give us any historical context for these dry conditions?
Absolutely, Lindsay. I'll start by saying things have been relatively calm, and that's been giving firefighters a fighting chance, but that's all getting ready to change. Wind speeds will be picking up again tomorrow. Wind gusts could range between 35 and 55 miles per hour. Some areas could see gusts as high as 70 miles per hour, but we all expect this to come to a head by Tuesday morning, peaking winds up to 61 miles per hour in places like Burbank. And then, of course, there's the issue of the wildfires. Tonight, with calmer winds, we're seeing more air stagnation, so very heavy wildfire smoke is anticipated in places like Santa Monica. But ultimately, Lindsay, right now, Los Angeles is in a severe drought. Between May and now, they've seen about 0.16 inches of rain. The last time we saw a deficit like that between the months of July and January was in the year 1962. The difference is now temperatures have been 4 degrees warmer. That means hotter air is leading to the grounds drying out faster. And in a changing climate, we can just expect more of that.
The wind and dry conditions, clearly a deadly mix. Samara, thank you. Now to politics and confirmation hearings for some of President-elect Trump's cabinet picks. The FBI briefing committee members on Secretary of Defense nominee Pete Hegseth. The former Fox News host is one of Trump's most controversial selections, and his hearing on Tuesday could prove explosive. ABC's Mary Alice Parks reports from Capitol Hill tonight.
Tonight, several of President-elect Donald Trump's nominees gearing up for a public grilling. 14 Senate confirmation hearings scheduled for this week. One of the first, former Fox News anchor Pete Hegseth, nominated to be the Secretary of Defense in the hot seat Tuesday. Hegseth has faced allegations of sexual and financial misconduct as well as alcohol abuse. He will also face tough questions about his policy positions. He has in the past been highly critical of the Pentagon's efforts to diversify.
Because I'm straight up just saying we should not have women in combat roles.
Hegseth denies all allegations and has never been charged. And now he says he supports women serving today. Republicans have 53 seats in the Senate, meaning nominees do not need Democratic votes, but they also cannot afford to lose more than 2 Republicans. One big question mark, Republican Senator Joni Ernst, a former lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserves who did multiple combat tours and has been hesitant about Hegseth's nomination. ABC News learning that Hegseth sat for an interview with the FBI as investigators interviewed multiple people from his personal life as a part of a background check. Tonight, top senators on the committee briefed on the results of that investigation. And after weeks of meetings across Capitol Hill, Tulsi Gabbard, tapped to be Trump's director of national intelligence, gaining ground over the weekend after a major reversal, now in support of an overseas surveillance program she once opposed, saying it needed reform.
Mary Alice reports now from Capitol Hill. Mary Alice, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance is seeming to couch Trump's vow to pardon January 6 rioters on the first day in office at this point.
Yeah, Vance said today that if someone committed violence on that day, they obviously should not be pardoned. But just last week, Trump was asked specifically about people who attacked police officers, and he did not answer directly. He talked about his plans to grant major pardons. Of course, we know more than 140 officers were seriously injured that day. Lindsay.
Mary Alice, thank you. Later in the broadcast, more from Los Angeles as communities come together to support those most in need. And just ahead, a frigid blast aims aim at half the country. Wind chills plummeting well below zero. Next tonight, a frigid Arctic blast is on its way to the eastern half of the country. Places like Minneapolis, Chicago, and Cincinnati can expect a return to below zero wind chills by midweek, and the freeze will stick around for a while. It's expected to last into next week. When we come back, Blue Origin prepares for blast off, where you can see the historic launch. To the index now, the countdown is on for historic launch. Blue Origin's 32-story high New Glenn rocket is set to blast off from Cape Canaveral in the early hours of Monday, a first-of-its-kind mission. If you're awake between 1 and 4 a.m. on the East Coast, Blue Origin says the launch will be visible as far north as the Carolinas. The NFL playoffs are now underway. Just before we came on the air, the Bills beat the Broncos. The Commanders are visiting the Buccaneers tonight. The L.A. Chargers lost Saturday to the Texans. The Chargers warmed up with a nod to L.A. firefighters. The Lakers, whose weekend game was postponed and whose coach lost his home in the Palisades fire, have adopted new practice gear, thanking firefighters. The L.A. Kings are now wearing special jersey and helmet patches in their games. And tomorrow, the L.A. Rams will take on the Vikings in Glendale. That game relocated because of the fires. You can see it here on ABC and on ESPN at 8 Eastern. When we come back, with so many having lost so much, people helping people in the City of Angels. Finally, tonight, the deadly fires have destroyed so much, but they have also brought out some of the best in the residents of the City of Angels. The scenes are surreal. Seemingly more apropos for a major motion picture emanating from Hollywood, not actually in its backyard. But it's known as the City of Angels for a reason. In the midst of the destruction, embers of hope as the community and beyond unites to offer help.
We are giving away free food, diapers, coffee, breakfast, burritos.
This food vendor's TikTok post went viral after starting small at a Rose Bowl parking lot.
We've outgrown this area.
So they moved here to the Santa Anita racetrack. Clothes, water, and food as far as the eye can see. Necessities for those who've lost it all.
When it's time to come together, we get real and we get it done.
Yeah, the loss of our house, of everything hurts. And just knowing that everyone is here for us, you know, we're not alone.
Scenes like these now abound across the LA landscape. Neighbor helping neighbor, stranger assisting stranger. Here, Dr. Annie Harveless set up her animal hospital to take in dozens of pets, many of evacuees.
We had someone come who had 10 cats.
Her hope is that the knowledge that their animals are cared for will help lessen their trauma.
I could see the shoulders drop, the stress level drop as soon as we got their animals set up.
Luzanne Ati and Caitlin Kuchma saw this post on the Nextdoor app of an out-of-town homeowner desperate to save her 2 dogs who were home alone.
It broke my heart. Of course, you put yourself in that same position.
Most objects are replaceable, but your dog.
Both of them so grateful that they could help a neighbor they've never even met. Jenna Cooper cleaned out half of her home goods store to make room for clothing donations.
We have donations coming in of new clothes, suitcases, essentials, and we're trying to get them directly into the hands of the people who need them.
Jenna says the idea started small and then grew, with some surprising donors joining in.
I started with a 5-person text thread, and then 2 hours later, somehow Sharon Stone got a hold of it.
All through the city, those in need of being enveloped in a collective hug. And this small but important act of kindness. Victoria DeSantis abandoned her home so quickly she left her wedding ring behind. When she returned to her home, A bright spot in the midst of a dark week, these firefighters managed to find her precious wedding band in the rubble. It's the little things. If you want to help, scan the QR code below. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Lindsay Davis. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.
Tonight we have breaking news as we come on the air. This new warning, the winds now coming again tonight. They're warning of a particularly dangerous situation. Winds up to 75 miles an hour again this evening in California. We're also learning tonight of 2 passenger jets. Authorities say just seconds from a mid-air collision, what we know so far. First tonight, this new warning just in this evening, the wildfire emergency in the Los Angeles area. New dangerous Santa Ana winds about to return tonight, gusting up to 75 miles per hour. Where the fires are still burning at this hour and where this could be a major concern. The death toll rising in tonight, the major new clue on the potential cause of one of these fires. Our team standing by across the fire zone and Ginger Z standing by with the forecast. The winds coming tonight and right through Wednesday. Also tonight, this dangerous and brutal cold across much of the country tonight. Wind chills below 0 to single digits from the Dakotas to the Midwest, then moving right into the Northeast. Tonight, that terrifying mid-air close call, 2 passenger jets, a Delta flight and a United flight. It was the computers in the cockpits that suddenly warned them they were seconds from colliding. The American hostages in Gaza. Is there now a deal soon coming? And how many Americans are still believed to be alive? What we're learning tonight. Breaking news from the Justice Department just moments ago. Special Counsel David Weiss releasing his final report on Hunter Biden with harsh words for President Biden. It comes just hours before the expected release of Jack Smith's report on Donald Trump. Tonight, the arrest involving WNBA star Caitlin Clark, an alleged stalker, arrested after traveling from Texas to Indiana. The player telling police she feared for her life. The concern tonight over respiratory illness across this country, the new warning from the CDC this evening, what they're now seeing in at least 35 states. Tonight, the major news involving Bob Dylan.
Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me.
The Dylan treasures up for grabs. Tonight here, we remember a beloved actress who played her role for nearly 50 years.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We are back from California, and it is difficult to put into words the scope of what we saw. And tonight, now this new warning coming in. Our team remains fanned out across the fire zone. Authorities now warning of very dangerous Santa Ana winds yet again tonight. The National Weather Service calling this a particularly dangerous situation, calling for winds up to 75 miles per hour again this evening, right through Wednesday. More than 12 million people right now under red flag warnings as we come on this evening, where they're most concerned with these winds soon coming. Firefighters battling the flames from the air, but soon those winds could be too strong for aircraft to take to the skies. The National Guard joining the fight. Video from inside the cockpit of a firefighting C-130 dropping retardant on the Palisades fire. The toll is already staggering. Look at these images. More than 12,000 homes and structures destroyed. At least 24 people dead. Now the search for the missing. And tonight, investigators on the scene of the Palisades fire looking for answers. Just now emerging, the early minutes of the Eden fire, captured in video, a couple running out of their home after seeing flames under a utility tower. The flames quickly spreading across Altadena. And tonight, what could be a potential major clue as to how one of these fires started. Ginger Z is standing by to time out these winds tonight, how long this lasts, and again, where they're most concerned. And our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman, in California, leading us off on the fight against the fires still underway right now, with these new winds now coming.
Tonight, Southern California again facing howling winds and extreme fire danger. The National Weather Service designating tonight's wind event as a particularly dangerous situation, just a week after the most destructive fires in Southern California history left 24 people dead, more than 12,000 structures believed damaged or destroyed, and firefighters exhausted. And tonight, families on edge.
They said 70-mile-an-hour winds. It's going to be very difficult to contain that fire.
Firefighters taking advantage of a break in those powerful winds that grounded crucial firefighting aircraft, making an all-out aerial assault on the Palisades fire over the past 48 hours. Massive air tankers dumping that pink Phos-Chek. Choppers swooping into canyons for precision drops over the fire lines. Reinforcements pouring in for both Mexico and Canada.
We are not in the clear as of yet, and we must not let our guard down.
At the Eaton fire, firefighters going through neighborhoods, mopping up hot spots, and search and rescue teams comb through the ashes.
And now the grueling task of digging through the debris for human remains. And firefighters from around the country are here. They have to clear every single one of these structures before they can allow people to move back in here.
Authorities aware of the mounting frustration here.
People are saying, I just want to go look at my house and I want to see what's left. We know that, but we have people literally looking for the remains of your neighbors. Please be patient with us.
And as communities brace for this next wind event, tonight, possible clues as to how the Eaton fire started.
Hey babe, I need you to come out here right now.
Jeffrey and Cheryl Koo capturing doorbell and cell phone video as they raced to evacuate their home in Altadena after they saw this fire near their home at around 6:19 p.m. Tuesday.
It was a nightmare, and I think the worst part was every time I checked on the fire, it got worse.
The Coos neighbors, Pedro Rojas and Jennifer Errico, also sending us their pictures and video, all showing what appears to be the same fire at the base of this electrical transmission tower. We tried to get a closer look.
Eaton Canyon is below me, and right there is that transmission tower that the Coos say they saw the fire burning initially. It may be one of several, or the first place where the fire started, but that's the tower, at least in the video.
And so far, ABC News has learned at least 4 homeowners and renters who lost their homes in the Eaton fire have filed lawsuits against Southern California Edison, alleging the company failed to de-energize equipment despite those wind warnings. Today, the head of SoCal Edison's parent company telling GMA they've seen no indication their equipment started the fire, but they're aware of the videos and investigating.
As soon as we can get close to it, we'll inspect and we'll be transparent with the public.
SoCal Edison, David, also telling us that they are aware of those lawsuits. Now, the National Weather Service issuing its highest level of alert. And because these winds are coming in the middle of the night towards the early morning, they are concerned that they might catch people in bed sleeping. So they are pleading with folks here not to turn off those emergency alerts on their phones. They say lives could be at stake. David?
Yeah, the most dangerous time for those winds to come right in the evening hours after people go to bed. Matt, thank you. Tonight, of course, the overwhelming need as well and questions over insurance. Will families be covered? And what do you do when everything is gone? Kana Whitworth also in California again tonight.
With a fresh round of fierce winds threatening more homes tonight, a growing relief effort to help tens of thousands who have already lost everything.
Sorry, I feel so bad for the people. So just wanted to come help somebody.
So many in desperate need. LA's new district attorney is warning anyone who tries to take advantage of them will face the consequences.
So the criminals have decided that this is an opportunity, and I'm here to tell you that this is not an opportunity. You will be arrested. You will be prosecuted.
At least 9 people have been arrested for looting, and prosecutors say some fire victims are also facing price gouging on everything from medical supplies to hotels. The Harrison Kambaramis and their twins lost everything when the fire swept through their rental home in Altadena, including Ferris-sized professional film gear. They say their insurer refused to cover them when they moved to a nearby rental in November.
We were kicking ourselves like when we saw the Palisade fire start. All of a sudden we're like, we never got another policy. And so, of course, it was too late at that point because our home burned the next day. Yeah.
So you saw it and you thought about it?
Yeah, I feel sick about it.
Thousands now converging on the Santa Anita racetrack parking lot. It started with food vendors feeding their community.
They're giving away free food.
Their efforts going viral.
We have wheelchairs, we have coffee pots, we have blankets.
And tonight, organizers are urging anyone impacted by the fires to come get what they need.
So we're really hoping that we get more people that need these items to come and pick up the donations.
The time is now.
The time is now.
And David, tonight officials are out with a new map of the fire zone where people can go to see if their home was impacted. They can go to recovery.lacounty.gov. Certainly a vital resource in this time. David.
All right, Kana Whitworth with us again tonight from California. Kana, thank you. And again, they are right now warning of this particularly dangerous situation. These Santa Ana winds roaring back tonight. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z. Ginger, what are they expecting?
They can expect large wildfires, a high risk of those spreading really quickly if they start. And David, we've got 36 hours of what will be an urgent situation again in California. So let's talk about the setup. It is different than what happened last week. It's a little less, but still the type that can take down trees and power lines. And we've got this upper level support. That's why we put that low and high up at 500 millibars, as we call it, speeding up the Santa Ana winds and making it even bigger. Now, the geography is slightly different. This time we're talking about the Santa Monica Mountains, but we're also San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and of course Calabasas, Agora Hills, eastern San Gabriel Mountains, the Malibu coast. All of the cities that you see highlighted there are in the particularly dangerous situation red flag warning. That's something that on a normal year you'd see every 5 to 10 years, but they've had 4 this season alone. This is the 4th, so really, really big fire risk. And that red flag warning goes all the way down to the Mexican border. And finally, David, we are also tracking the serious Arctic chill, 22 below the feels like tomorrow morning in Minneapolis.
Yeah, those are dangerously cold temperatures we're tracking as well. Ginger, thank you again tonight. We'll see you first thing in the morning. Now to the other major news this Monday night, into that terrifying close call between 2 passenger jets, a Delta and a United jet approaching the Phoenix airport. The computers in their cockpits suddenly warning that they were seconds from colliding. Gio Benitez covers aviation.
Tonight, stunning images showing 2 jets on a mid-air collision course as they're coming in for landing at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. Justin Giddens recording from down below.
My first reactions were just shocked and surprised that 2 commercial airliners with hundreds of people on them were on a converging path.
The plane on the top is a United flight from San Francisco carrying 123 passengers. Below, a Delta Airlines flight from Detroit with 245 passengers. Watch this flight radar animation showing the planes nearly colliding on Saturday morning. According to data from Flight Radar 24, the planes coming incredibly close to each other at one point within 875 feet vertically and about 1,200 feet horizontally. That Delta plane going at 275 miles an hour. The only thing apparently stopping the planes from colliding, an onboard anti-collision system blaring in the flight deck. The commands heard on air traffic control audio.
We do have runway 8 in sight, cleared.
The Delta pilot then deciding to cancel their landing approach and go around. Both flights then circling before landing safely.
Normally, aircraft shouldn't get within a mile of each other. In this case, they were less than 1,000 feet. So the technology on board both aircraft, sensing that they were within seconds of a mid-air collision, told one aircraft to climb and one aircraft to descend, thus preventing a tragedy.
And David, the question tonight, if that alert system hadn't gone off, would the pilots have known that they were that close to each other? Both Delta and United say that those pilots listened to that warning, and now the FAA is investigating. David.
Really startling stuff. Gio Benitez tonight. Gio, thank you. Now to the American hostages still in Gaza. Tonight, President Biden now saying a hostage release and ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas is, quote, on the brink. Here's Mary Bruce.
Tonight, President Biden says a long-sought deal to release the hostages held by Hamas in exchange for a ceasefire in Gaza is finally within reach.
We're on the brink of a proposal that I laid out in detail months ago, finally coming to fruition.
With just days left in office, the White House working closely with Donald Trump's Mideast negotiator to broker a deal. The president-elect has been blunt.
If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
Sources tell us the deal would initially see Hamas releasing over 30 hostages, including some Americans. The administration believes there are 7 American hostages in Gaza, 3 of whom are thought to be alive. In exchange, Israel would pause fighting so desperately needed aid can get into Gaza, clearing the way for the remaining hostages to be released and ultimately a new governing body to be established.
The White House tonight says they are closer than they've ever been to getting this deal done, but it's not there yet, and they are now racing the clock, hoping to get this across the finish line before Biden leaves office, now in less than a week. David.
Mary Bruce live at the White House. Mary, thank you. Moments ago, Special Counsel David Weiss releasing his final report on his investigation of Hunter Biden with harsh words for the president. Here's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, the special counsel who led the investigation into Hunter Biden with sharp words for the president's decision to pardon his son. In his final report, special counsel David Weiss saying, Other presidents have pardoned family members, but in doing so, none have taken the occasion as an opportunity to malign the public servants at the Department of Justice based solely on false accusations. Hunter Biden was convicted on federal charges for lying on a gun form. During the trial, the president telling David he would not pardon his son.
Have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes. But days before Hunter Biden was set to be sentenced for that crime and for 9 tax-related charges to which he had pleaded guilty, the president reversed himself, granting his son a full and unconditional pardon. The president saying Hunter Biden was treated differently and singled out only because he is my son, that he was selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Tonight in his report, Weiss firing back, saying these baseless accusations have no merit and repeating them threatens the integrity of the justice system as a whole. And while the president called the prosecutions of his son a miscarriage of justice, tonight the special counsel defending them as the culmination of thorough, impartial investigations, not partisan politics. And we could be hearing from another special counsel soon. A federal judge is lifting her injunction, blocking the release of the part of Jack Smith's final report dealing with Donald Trump's role on January 6th and efforts to overturn the 2020 election. We could hear about that report as early as tomorrow, David.
Pierre Thomas with us live from Washington. Pierre, thanks. When we come back here tonight, the arrest involving WNBA star Caitlin Clark. A man arrested, authorities say, traveling from Texas to Indiana. Clark said she feared for her life. And tonight here, we remember a beloved actress who played her role for nearly 50 years. Tonight, a suspect is now facing charges for allegedly stalking WNBA star Caitlin Clark. Michael Lewis was arrested after traveling from Texas to Indianapolis, accused of sending threats and sexually violent messages to her over social media. He allegedly told police it was, quote, an imaginary relationship. Tonight, the CDC is now warning about 4 respiratory illnesses on the rise in 35 states: the flu, COVID, RSV, and norovirus. ERs across the country seeing a surge of patients. Many of those cases are flu-related. When we come back here tonight, the news involving Bob Dylan tonight. And did you see that image of the dog and the firefighter? A remarkable effort tonight. To the Index, a remarkable collection of Bob Dylan memorabilia on the auction block in Nashville, including early drafts of lyrics.
Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man.
Julian's Auction says 50 items in Saturday's auction, including Dylan's signed oil paintings and original art. A General Hospital icon, actress Leslie Charlson, has died nearly 50 years as Monica Quartermain. Leslie Charlson was 79. When we come back here tonight, the firefighter and the dog in need of help. Finally tonight here, the City of Angels saving the pets. Tonight, across Los Angeles, the pets being saved. The Pasadena Humane Society taking in animals recovered from the fire zone.
They're really dehydrated.
Roxy found in a house that had collapsed, her white coat covered in ash from the Eaton fire. Dr. Anna Sarfati and veterinary technician Vanessa Ortiz caring for her, tending to her burns. Dozens of donations arriving at the shelter, pet food, medicine for the animals.
Hi, David. We've taken in about 600 animals so far.
Dia DuVernay from the Pasadena Humane Society telling us every donation counts.
It really is a huge effort to take care of all these animals who need our help.
The nonprofit Wings of Rescue flying shelter pets out of the fire zone to safety. Hazel, Sergio, Magoo, and Archie. Rick Browdy greeting the pets inside their kennels, inside the plane.
Hi, David. In the past 2 days, we've flown 2 flights carrying nearly 200 pets to shelters in the Pacific Northwest. We have at least 8 more flights on tap.
86 shelter pets sent to Utah, 6 to Oregon, 70 flown to Seattle. Pilots Felipe Morales and Justin Schneider with the puppies, hoping to find them homes elsewhere.
If your viewers would like to help us save even more pets, please go to www.wingsofrescue.org/donate. Thank you so much.
And so many of you saw the image captured by our team in Altadena. A lost dog standing by this firefighter as he battled the flames. Max, separated from his family in the Eaton fire. Dog trainer Chris Abkarian of Clutch Canine in Whittier, California, called in to help. Taking in Max, his family has been found tonight.
We're gonna go and take him to our facility, get him food, get him water, and then reunite him with his owners.
Max is doing well, his family preparing for his safe return. The firefighter who comforted Max.
Hi, everyone.
Firefighter paramedic Slater Lee.
We'll continue to do our hard work and do as much as we possibly can to support you guys.
Tonight, the City of Angels living up to its name.
Thank you, and God bless everyone.
Thank you. You saw Max wagging his tail when the firefighter and the paramedics started to help him. I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.